Set your butane torches to high and your expectations to low. Coming to you live from Just the Tip Cigars in the hills of the Steel City. Get ready to get your fix. This is the Cigar Junkies Podcast. Welcome to the Cigar Junkies Podcast, a cigar show for the community by the community. A forum to talk stogies, booze, food, and anything else in the cigar lifestyle. If you're looking for ratings, negativity, reviews, or an authority on all things cigars, you came to the wrong place. Whether you like what you hear or not, please join the conversation and let us know by finding us at the Cigar Junkies Facebook group or emailing us at thecigarjunkies@gmail.com.
What's up, junkies?
Yo, yo, yo.
What's up?
I'm Corey.
I'm Sam.
And we're the Cigar Junkies. And if you're watching this, that means you are too. Please do us a favor. Go over to thecigarjunkies.com where you can find all our recent content, whether it's audio or video. You can find awesome merch like what we're wearing here right now. You can support Patty and Dave. You can do all the things, man. It's a one-stop shop where you can go out, like, subscribe, share on every platform, add in those comments like Troy Harper does, and hang out with us every week. Sunday morning, 9:30 a.m. If you're a member of the Facebook group. So
I like it.
With that being said, happy Mother's Day to all the beautiful ladies in our lives, starting with the number one hot mom, Shannon, Britt, Jen Smith. And then I want to cover right off the bat, I don't know if they're here yet, but I want to hit Miss Chris Scales, Marcy Curcio, and the one and only
my mother.
Yes. I was trying to let you say it because she was in the room. You know what I mean?
We did that call at 7 o'clock this morning. We're good.
Hope all you moms have a wonderful day. It's supposed to be, I think, nice, just a little cool.
As long as it's not what it was yesterday. Yeah,
yesterday was not a nice day.
Oh, dude, it hit right there.
Tornado?
Yeah, right on the other side of the hills where it did.
Tornadoes, man. What the heck happened, dude? Is this global warming? Because if it is, okay, I'll finally be like, okay, maybe I'll turn
solar storm. That's the one we're going with this time. Solar storm.
Hey Shannon, when are we going? We're going to see Neil deGrasse Tyson when he comes to town. I think maybe we should get him in here to explain that stuff.
Yeah, 100%. Please
that would be the best show we ever had if we had
freaking phenomenal. We would just sit here and just be like, go. And
I feel like Neil would face palm the whole show.
No, I don't. Nope. I think
I would still be on the show.
We wouldn't have a chance to talk. He's very much like Sokka is. We're like, he's gonna do the talking.
It's possible. I'd be cool with that. We'd throw a Cigar Junkies badge up there. I'd listen.
Just go to town.
I mean, we're paying to go to sit in a where is it? I think it's a Carnegie Library Music Hall.
Yeah,
which ought to be a pretty awesome place to just sit and listen to him lay down the science.
Just rant.
Heck yeah.
And go.
So
yeah, the guy has definitely made science interesting to people again.
Yes.
Like he's gotten everybody's attention. Yeah, that's a lot of respect on that one.
I mean,
your pen real quick.
Him and the Big Bang Theory. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, by the way, Shannon's waiting for this. This show is brought to you officially by Tequila. Today's show would not exist without it because I called you to ask about the tequila, yeah?
Yeah.
And I was like, I should go home and get my tequila. And I was running like really early. So early, in fact, that I started the show at 9:22. We went live because I thought it was 9:32. Maybe my eyes are going, maybe they're not.
I guess my watch is wrong.
So I go home, and what's laying there next to the tequila bottle? The power supply for the computer.
It does help.
As a important part of the process, I'm like, we would have had about 5 minutes of show because the battery capacity on my laptop is non-existent. So that would have been a very, very short one. So how was your week?
Good. Chaotic. So Britt went out of town last weekend. So she went out of town last weekend, and then she left me with 3 children and a job that takes all of my time.
To be fair, you had some part in those children as
well.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I didn't say she left me with her children. She left me with children.
Sounded like a intro to a country song. My baby went out of town, left me with 3 children.
Right.
And now I don't know where I am no more.
That's about how it felt last week. But no, it was good until Friday where we didn't have anybody to watch the kids and I couldn't find anybody to watch the shop. So it got to be a
Hey
bit of a
kids,
juggling act. Like
you're
run
getting to
there,
do
run here.
inventory today.
Oh, I felt like that was going to happen.
Yeah.
But no, we got through it, all that. She's back. So thank for the little things like that. But yeah,
Brittany's back
back
again.
again.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, I'm getting bombarded by her. So talk for a second.
Bombardment. That's the new gym teacher in the Simpsons.
So what's going on? How was your week?
There you go. That's how you do it.
That's why I
All
did.
right. So week was pretty good, a little chaotic. Unfortunately, I don't think my daughter ever listens to this show, but there's some activities that I'll have to kind of avoid because there's some prizes in line.
Ooh.
So my daughter is a phenomenal student, and she slipped up a little bit in the last innings, but she's always been self-sufficient. It was kind of wild that she stepped back a little bit because it's like, oh, I guess we better have to like parent her a little bit. But she's back at it. She's swinging hard. She's killing it. She actually just got the outstanding senior award at Steel Center, which is something that you can only achieve if you have not only good grades, but like amazing, outstanding performance for 3 years at Steel Center. It's not just your senior year. Like it is 3 years.
It's not too good for a quarter makeup.
Right. And the crazy thing about this is she's known about it for a long time, but it only came down, very recently of who was getting the award, right? And she found out. The unfortunate thing is the award ceremony is this coming Thursday, right? And they put it right between the AM and PM schedules because it's like kindergarten. Like you have two groups of students, right? You go to Steel Center because you go to your home school for half of the day and you go to the vocational school for the other half of the day. My daughter is in the veterinary assistant program, in which she's just shined above and beyond the whole time that she's been there. So they're doing this ceremony in between the two things, which makes a little bit of sense until you consider
what time of day that is.
The AM kids have to leave to go back to their school, and the PM kids are not there yet.
Yep.
Okay. On top of all of this, Kieran that day had a AP biology final, like this year test, the test for the whole year that she had to take at noon, which means she has to be there by 20 to 12. And it's like, how's this all going to work? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy. So we didn't even know if Kieran was going to be able to go. Shannon and I both work daylight. So I'm like, I called the school. I'm like, what the heck are you guys doing?
This is a logistic nightmare.
Nuts. And I says, she's worked really hard for this. I want her to be available to receive this award, but she's got to be back at the school. And they said, well, the second half, we're feeding them. They're providing lunch and a meal and stuff. So we can make sure she gets honored early so that she can be available to go via her thing. I'm like, okay. So I called and put in a vacation day. The nice thing is, thank you, dear, I haven't used a single vacation day this year. I was thinking about using one at the end of the last week of April, just because I was burnt out from covering everybody else's absence. Jason's had a lot of crazy stuff happen in his life. It's not his fault. But so I covered 3 weeks of Jason being out. I covered the other guy being out on vacation, all that stuff. And I'm like, man, I could just use a week to not have to worry about these things. And my wife, the wonderful, beautiful, amazing manager of my life that she is. I'm the assistant manager, by the way, if you ever heard that joke.
Oh, yeah.
So she was like, wow, don't burn a week. What you're going to want those days later. Things will pop up. And I'm like, all right, fine. So I didn't really have anything on the board until the week of the 4th of July. I have a vacation week. But there's my 2 different graduation ceremonies for Kieran at the end of May, one in June. So I was able to put in a vacation day and take this day off of work so that I can pick Kieran up, drive her over there, and then drive her back.
Drive her back.
After I called, So then Kieran at school is walking somewhere in the high school after lunch or something, and someone calls her name and she turns around and it's the principal, and she like freezes. She's scared. She's like, what the heck? And he goes, hey, the principal of Steel Center called me. Congratulations on getting the outstanding senior award. We rescheduled your day to take this test so that you can hang out for the whole duration of this ceremony and get your award and stuff. So it's like a super cool big win.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
And the cool part is he didn't have to do that.
No, absolutely not.
That's respect to him on that. That's awesome.
It was super nice, and there's nobody that deserves it more than my kid, because she's self-motivated, always been harder on herself than we are on her. You know how hard it is to parent a kid that like has higher expectations of herself than you do? Yeah. It's like, hey man, chill out. Like, you don't have to ground yourself. You know what I mean? It's been
You're gonna be
weird.
okay.
She's a great kid. She's done amazing, and so congratulations to her. And so there's a lot of dude, it's weird being in this position, because I had my kids young, right?
Yeah.
So like I'd be out working with people, and it'd be like, you have kids? I'm like, yeah, I have two. They're 3 and 4. How old are your kids? And they're like, oh, 14 and 16. I'm like, oh, you're like a real parent.
Yeah, you're like there.
Yeah, like you have to, like, I'm not, my kids are just my play buddies. You know?
Like, yeah, 3 and 4 is just fun and getting yelled at by little people.
As long as there's not more of them than there are of you. Yeah. Having 3 of them probably changes the dynamic a little bit.
Nah, you just put one in the cage.
There's one of them.
Don't put your kids in a cage.
There's always one that likes it.
Yeah. Oh, the dog crates, dude. The amount of games my kids have played with the dog crates, where all of a sudden we hear, "Let me out, let me out." And we come running in like, "What the hell? What, really? And then because they don't just lock it, they figured out that if they just close the dog latch, then you can just reach through and unlatch it. But if they put a carabiner on it first or something like that, they lock each other in there.
So like, you're in an unfortunate position. You can't really do much today for Britt. Deserve it as she may.
Yeah,
there's only so many resources that you have available, and you have to be here to cover the business, right?
Yep.
So are the kids doing something wild and tearing you, doing something nice and making a mess of the house for her?
So no, Britt calls me yesterday laughing. She's like, I overheard the kids upstairs. They're brushing their teeth and stuff, and I hear a conversation. My son looks at the girls and goes, I'm making a new rule for our house. The girl, so what's that? He says, on holidays, whoever holiday it is, you have to say yes to anything they ask you to do. And my daughter doesn't miss a beat and goes, she's going to make us do like 10 chores today, isn't she? And he goes, yep, deal with it.
Well, the good news is, if you die young, your house is going to be well taken care of.
Oh, yeah.
Sammy's ready to step up and be the man of the house, dude. Is he already the man of the house?
Oh, yeah. I lose. I'm not even trying anymore. Awesome. Salud, buddy. Like, they've got it handled, man. Between them, they are just a hoot. What was it? The other one, Talia came in and told Britt yesterday, Mom, I cleaned off the whole training table. I did it by myself. Nobody helped me. And Charlie Rose leans in and she goes, yeah, but I told you were doing a good job the whole time.
We know who the supervisor is.
Right? Like, what is with this kid?
Oh, man. That's a future PennDOT worker right there.
Oh, yeah. But I said good job the whole time. Oh,
that's
trying to remember what the exact phrasing was, but it was essentially that. I'm like, this fantastic child, man.
That's amazing.
Yeah, always outnumbered. Always outnumbered. Wouldn't have it any other way, though. They're so freaking funny.
They're good kids, man. They are entertaining for sure, too. So I was early today. Both of my kids are fantastic. They just, do whatever you ask them to do. They're appreciative, never want for anything. And we try to take care of those wants ahead of time, but still, even so, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not spoiled at all. So Kieran had to be at work at 8 o'clock this morning, as she does every weekend, but she was like, I'm going to make Mom breakfast for Mother's Day. You know what I mean? So
that's sweet.
I had alarm set, was ready to go, but that smoke alarm at like 7:45 definitely helped.
It got you there, huh?
Whatever.
Oh, what'd she burn?
And I'm like, that's not my alarm. Whose alarm is it? It's not necessarily her fault. Sometimes you use the oven and you get some buildup in there, and you open, and it just sets off.
So she didn't make any mistakes. It just happened.
No.
Yeah.
She made Shannon. My wife is the only person in our house that likes mushrooms, but she loves mushrooms. So Kira,
I'm with you on that one, hon.
Like portobello mushroom caps with like sunny side up eggs on top of them and stuff. which is super cool. So I like got up and I woke her. My wife's alarm was going off anyway. I says, "Hey, honey, your breakfast is gonna get cold. It's sitting out there waiting for you." She goes, "Did she try to wake me up?" I says, "I don't remember it. I heard the smoke alarm, but I don't remember her coming in and say, 'Hey, breakfast is ready' or anything." But my plan is I got both my mother-in-law, and my wife today to take care of. So all she wanted was dinner. She's, I'm gonna go out. They're gonna go bike riding today, which is super cool. They were gonna go kayaking, but it's not
Yeah,
quite
it's not
warm
warm
enough
enough
for
for that.
kayaking. She says, all I want is dinner. And I says, okay. Well, you know me. If that's all I'm doing, I got to go big.
Yeah.
So I went to Weiss's the other day, and I got a whole section of filet, which is like that big of a filet, which is very reasonably priced.
Yeah, they're not bad when they don't cut them yet. Yep.
So the game plan is to throw that bad boy in the smoke. Well, I'm going to reverse sear it probably on the Blackstone first.
Yeah.
And then throw her in the Blackstone or in the smoker until she hits 125. And then just slice that bad boy up and
bake it down.
Yeah.
Nom, nom, nom. Oh, that sounds delicious.
I've never done a filet in the smoker. I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
And
just
then,
make sure you spritz it first. They dry out.
Yeah. Well, the smoker will have the water reservoir in the bottom too to keep it going as well. But
See, I usually do like I'll spray it with like apple juice or something like that. And especially if you reverse sear it first, it gives it nice caramelization, but it also helps lock in the moisture.
fair enough.
So yeah, something like that works good.
So yeah, man. Go ahead.
No, I think about this morning. My daughter goes, "Daddy, you were up really early this morning." So what do you mean? She goes, "Well, your alarm only went off one time and you got right out of bed." I was like, "Thanks, kid. Appreciate that."
That's awesome.
Oh.
So all right, we're running a little long on the "How was your week" segment, but I got more.
Okay. No,
Okay.
Just go. It's this show. We know what it is.
So the self-promotion is working. Like at this point, 75% of my wardrobe is as
Right.
you see. Then I also have the big decal in the back of the truck now. And I always wonder, like, are people looking at that or, whatever's going on? So I was driving to get the meat because I want to be like Arby's the other day. This is on Friday. So I'm driving up Lebanon Church Road, which is a 2-lane. It's not a highway, but it's a 4-lane road. So you have 2 on either side. And I'm actually talking to Shannon on the phone. Shush.
He's talking to Ryan.
Okay, fair enough. Shush, Ryan. So I'm driving and I'm talking to Shannon briefly. This guy pulls up next to me and is like signaling me to roll down my window. And I was like, honey, I got to go. I don't know what the hell is going on. I'm scared that like my muffler's hanging off or my tailgate's down or something like that.
Gas door open, one of the
one shining thing is like he's driving a white Ram. So I'm like thinking maybe he's just going to be like Team Ramrod. You know what I mean? Something like that. So I put down the window and he goes, hey, do you run that podcast? Pointing at the decal on the back of my truck. And I go, yeah, I do. And he goes, my dad lives in Florida. He's from here, but he just opened a cigar shop in Florida. And I was like, is your dad Jim Robinson?
Right?
And he's like, no, Larry something or other. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. And he was like, can I put you guys in touch? And I was like, well, yeah. So we're at this point, I'm at a light behind 4 cars, but there's no one behind him. So he's stopped next to me and we're talking with the windows down and stuff. And I said, yeah, man, like, it's exactly how it's worded. Find us on Facebook, like anywhere. You can find us and reach out. Haven't, as far as I know, received a message from him yet, but was like easily able to direct him. So that was funny. And then I went to the grocery store afterward, and I went to the wine section in Pennsylvania. We now finally can buy wine and beer at the grocery store. And so the guy comes over, and he's looking at. He's like, cigar junkies, huh? And I was like, yeah. He's like, I like cigars. So then we go into the whole, hey, have you been to the place in South Park yet? And all that happy stuff. And so there was like 2 substantial interactions based on the shirts and stuff. So
yeah. No, it is always pleasant to see the marketing working, right? Mm-hmm. I reached out to Jeff Poole to get the stickers and magnets made for the truck for the shop for my stuff.
Jeff, I know it's his busy season. It's fine. No guilt trips here. But just so you know, we do miss you. And it's not just because of the food. We just like seeing your face around here.
Yeah. Where are you at, bro?
I can talk. Like, every time you pick up that cup, you're like about to drink it, and then you put it back down. And I don't know if it's because you feel like you can't, or
Oh,
if it's
no.
just a thing you're doing.
No, I know. I just have it in my hand this morning. My
Okay.
hand, so my hands are messed up from years ago, an accident, and the heat of the cup, like on a cold day today, my hands hurt like hell. So the heat of that cup is like glorious.
Well, that's one thing, but you keep going like
Go-
this and
well,
then put it back
I
down.
keep going to move my arm and then
Okay.
like debating between cigar and then cup, and then I go back to the cup. Yeah. Sorry. No, I didn't even think about how awkward that is.
Speaking of cigars,
But
shall we?
one more thing before
ahead.
we move on to that.
That's why I asked.
Seneca said he sears his after he pulls it from the smoker. And that's what Eric was commenting on. He said that sounds weird. And Ryan told him to shush. And then, then they moved into why Ryan isn't putting his decal on his truck yet, which is disappointing
He
at
didn't
best.
have one,
I know.
yeah.
Well, no, it's here.
Oh,
It
yeah.
matches
no,
his
he
little,
won't take it. Yeah.
matches his ramrod truck perfectly.
I know. Like all the free he's like, what are you going to pay me? Like the free mentions you get on the show all the time.
I mean,
You know what
lots of love.
That's right.
Yeah. I got nothing. I got no other
Man
way to
love,
motivate
what
him.
else you need?
Yeah. So anyways, you were saying,
So,
my bad.
well, now I've got to address the comment.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Seneca, I used to do the reverse sear afterward. With that being said, there's two things. First of all, when you sear it first, it's supposed to do a better job of holding in the rest of the juice inside the meat, right? Because if you sear the outside, it makes it harder for the moisture to escape. So that's reason number one. I do it this way now. Reason number two is because it's easier for temperature control. So if I sear it first and then I put it in the smoker with the temperature probe in it,
slowly bring
I
it up.
pull it out exactly when I want to, and then you let it rest, and you know you're going to be exactly where you need to be. Whereas, depending on what cut of meat, I could sear it on the Blackstone, or I have a big searing burner on the side of my grill, which I use all the time. I love.
Yeah.
But the thing about that is, so if you pull it off at a certain temperature and then you sear it, you're kind of at that point stuck with.
You have to
whenever the sear's done, you're stuck at the temperature it is.
You have to be at a higher level of skills than
we
we maintain.
It could end up a little bit higher or a little bit lower, and specifically for this, like for steaks and stuff, that's fine. But for a cut of meat as expensive and fancy as this, like I want to make sure
you're doing a whole loin.
I want to make sure it's exactly where I want it to be. So doing the sear first allows me more temperature control later on. So
I always wanted to do a whole prime rib roast and deep fry it. I saw it on a channel, and I'm like, oh, bro, that sounds fantastic. They injected it, and then they deep fried it.
This week on the Meat Junkies, have you ever seen the video where they, instead of dry aging, they tried butter aging steak?
No.
So essentially what it does is there's a video where they try this method that they came up with, and they did 3 different cuts. They did a regular steak, a dry aged steak, and a butter aged steak. What's cool about the butter aged, if you've ever dry aged meat, there's loss.
Right? I've never done it.
But you know that there is.
Yeah.
Right. So you have the part on the outside that goes bad from the dry aging because it's exposed to the air, and then the stuff that's inside is okay. And then you shave that meat off, and what's left is really well marbleized and wonderful. Or for the butter aging, essentially, if you take a bunch of butter, soft butter, and just cover the whole thing like a meatloaf, essentially, or something like that, like it's just got a whole outer layer of butter. When you put it in the refrigerator and say you hold it for a month or 2 months and leave it in the butter, a couple of different things happen. First of all, you don't have any wasted meat because the meat is not exposed to the air.
Yeah.
So whenever you go to pull it, you don't have to trim anything because all of the meat is good. It just ages the way
you want it to
would,
go. Yeah.
But you don't have exposure to air, so you don't get the bad meat on the outside. And then they even cooked it in the butter that was still on it and stuff. This meat did not look like meat. You got to watch this YouTube video. It's wild.
Yeah, I'll have to check it out.
It looked like gelatin. It was that soft.
Oh, wow.
The steak was like whoop, 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 like gelatin from having that butter soak into it.
Soaking in and protecting it, yeah.
It was great. And they did like a taste test with like 10 different people. Hey, try this one, try this one. They were like, that's the butter one for sure. That's the best one. It is so soft, it just like melts in your mouth.
Wow.
If I had the space in my refrigerator to be able to like just have meat sit there for 2 months and not get touched, I would definitely do it.
Yeah.
Without further ado, let's find out what we're smoking today, shall we?
It's time for the Cigar of the Week, brought to you by Leaning House Fine Cigars. The Leaning House is your destination for the ultimate cigar smoking experience. Whether you're exploring their wide selection of premium cigars, unwinding in their comfortable lounge, or enjoying live music on one of the most unique and intimate live music venues in the burg, the house has something for everyone. Do you want to try the stick we're smoking today? Stop by leaninghousefinecigars.com or visit Dave in Bell Vernon or Heidi in Brownsville. Wherever you are, make the house your home for premium cigars.
That's right, kids. Make the house your home for premium cigars. Today, we made the house our home, and we are smoking the La Aroma de Cuba Mi Amor. The one thing I will note right off the bat that's different, I think this used to have more of a red theme to it, and they went with like a baby blue now.
Different.
Is it a different
So the Mia
line?
More is the blue.
Okay.
And then they're like the La Aromas, they changed the background color on the bands. So the Mia More is blue. I think the standard is red,
But
and
I
there's
think-
one that's yellow.
I think the Mi Amor just used to be the red, and they just had a secondary band on it. I don't know if I'm
recall. In my
100%
mind,
sure.
it's always looked like this, but I don't.
Okay.
I'm not arguing against what you're saying either.
Anyway, it is definitely one of. So it's a classic line, right? But it definitely has that classic cigar band art.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
beautiful. I mean, there's not a lot of companies out there that make a more traditional, beautiful cigar band than that. And ironically, I just found out that some of the other ones that do, the cigars made in that same factory. 'Cause
Oh, really?
my father, do you know that?
No,
My
I
father
didn't.
makes a cigar. And they have like those classic bands.
Yeah, they run
you
with
know?
that style.
Yeah, the beautiful artwork. So we are smoking the Mi Amor. This is the 6x52 Magnifico, which is a fancy word for Toro as far as we're concerned. The San Andreas wrapper, and I think the binder and filler are both from Nicaragua. I couldn't actually find anything that disclosed the binder, but it seems like it's Nicaraguan. So made it to my father's cigar factory. His cigar has been featured in Cigar Aficionado Top 25 5 times.
Yeah.
Which might just mean they're a great advertiser.
There you
the
go.
way they do their stuff, but still a lot of high ratings and so forth, which is awesome. The La Aroma de Cuba transcends roots that date back to the 1880s in Cuba, where the brand became an early favorite of Winston Churchill. In the midst of Cuba's rebellion against years of Spanish conquest, Churchill arrived on the island in 1895 as an eager young lieutenant. There, the genesis of the brilliant military career and his avid passion for handmade cigars emerged. More than 120 years later, La Aroma de Cuba embraces an entirely fresh and prominent heritage in Nicaragua. The brand's modern-day revival began in the early 2000s with a series of popular handcrafted releases clad in boxes and bands. It featured original La Aroma de Cuba artwork. Cigar lovers embrace the brand's classic old-world appeal and its sophisticated and invigorating taste.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like that, huh?
Apparently.
What's up, Curcio? How you doing, buddy?
The master of the smoker himself,
Yeah.
the meat master is what I think, of him after Santa Claus.
No,
Santa
I'm just
Claus
stuck on
first.
Santa Claus all the
Yeah,
time now.
Santa Claus
That's pretty
first.
much just locked in.
Yeah. So
So what are your thoughts on it? I mean, smoking wise, mine has a box press. Yours doesn't. Did you like work the box press out of it?
no, I think it may be a soft press, but it's relatively round.
Yours is,
Maybe
but
yours
mine's
was
not.
just stored differently.
Is there any chance that we got different ones?
Don't believe so. But yes, it's possible.
Yeah. I'm like,
I feel like I grabbed them all, and when I did, I would have grabbed them from the same box.
maybe something happened on the shelf or
It's
something where it got
possible that
slid
one got
in.
moved around, so you
Yeah.
might be able to give a little bit of a different input. Again, I feel like the top and bottom are a bit flatter, but it's soft press at most. It's
Well,
definitely more round than not.
Yeah. Oh, even mine's definitely a soft press, but like looking at yours when it was in the ashtray, and I'm like, that's not the same shape. So that's strange.
If you have your hands on it, you can feel that it's flatter
Yeah.
on the top and bottom, but that's about it.
Yeah, this one, plus the V cut. So when I V cut mine, it actually pronounces the box presses more.
Looks like a hoo-hoo.
So it makes it hoo ha. now I'm cutting it again. I'm crown cutting it so it doesn't look like a hoo ha.
Well, I mean, you could always cross-cut it.
Like crown
Two
cut,
Vs?
cross cut. Yeah.
Okay, is that what
Yeah.
you were referring to?
Yeah. I
didn't
call it
know.
a crown cut for some reason.
All right.
Mm.
Do what you want to do. This is one of the few what would I call legacy cigars that I have no problem picking up and putting in my rotation, especially like if you're in a humidor that mostly has legacy stuff.
Yeah.
La Aroma, La Gloria Cabana, Siriar, Maduro.
Yep.
Those are a couple that I have no problem going to. And generally, Monte Cristo also is not typically worth to me necessarily the price point,
Agree.
but they're always really enjoyable cigars.
I mostly agree with you on that. There's a couple that are just the one is like smoking air. I get no joy from that cigar.
Okay.
And it's not trying to badmouth the brand. I mean, God, what they've done already is fantastic. The Nicaragua from them, I do really enjoy the black label.
Yeah.
That one's really good.
Even the white series,
The
which
whi-
I don't normally go to a lighter cigar, like the white series, incredible. Although they might have a dark one in the white series too. I'm not sure.
No, the white series is the Connecticut.
is the Connecticut,
Yeah. And it's called the white series. So,
yeah.
But yeah, it's really good, nutty, all that jazz. Honestly, the only one I'm not a big fan of is the classic Monte Cristo.
Okay.
Like the
That's
yellow
fair.
box, that one.
Yeah.
And again, it's just not for me. It's not that I've never had or heard of a construction issue with the Monte Cristo, though. I will say that.
Yeah, they're well made. They're again, sometimes the price point is higher than the cigar quality dictates. Like there's just so much competition out there that there are really accessible price points of cigars that are incredible, which makes it hard for a lot of different higher end stuff. But like Monte Cristo is as opposed to like Cohiba
Yeah.
is a cigar that I can feel relatively confident that I'm going to have an enjoyable experience most of the time if I grab one, just going like, hey, I know who this is.
You know what you're going to get each time. Yeah. And even like Cohiba, I haven't had a red dot in forever though. I gotta try them again. It's been a long time since I had like the classic Cohiba red band.
The other problem too is if you buy them online, you're not necessarily getting the same thing.
Yeah, it's not equal. They are not created the same. The Nicaragua. Why did I say it like that? I have no idea.
Doug in the chat room called your cigar the Cooter Cut. I love
That's it from now on. It's Cooter
it's
Cut.
Cooter Cut all the way.
100%.
You never go double cooter.
No, you never go. I'm not going to make the comment that just came in my mind. Just
Yeah.
understand it's there.
Now all we need is a pair of cigar scissors that give you the Cooter Cut.
The Cooter Cut scissors.
Double
with a
Cooter.
Subaru logo on them.
Hey.
Yeah. Subaru cigar cutter. Just scissors.
Your wife drives a Subaru now, doesn't she?
We drive the Subaru.
Just checking.
Did you try the new tequila yet?
I haven't. Let me put this one aside. So
Sam
last
plans
week
an
was a super bummer for me.
Yeah, Sam plans an entire event around Corey's tequila addiction, and then
Why is
Corey
it
doesn't
gotta be
hang out for it.
addiction, man?
Hobby.
I would have loved. Hey, man, my propensity to drink tequila saved this show today, or ruined it, depending on
Two
your
things can be
particular
true.
perspective. But what a bummer last week, dude. Like, never before have I ever thought about Cinco de Mayo and been like, oh yeah, I care about this day at
Yeah.
all. But now I'm like, I drink a lot of tequila.
Yeah.
Like,
It's my day.
yeah. Like it's like somebody created a holiday just for me that's been around for hundreds of years before I associated with it. And so it was rather disappointing,
Yeah.
particularly because what's cool about this tequila brand,
It's local.
which is wild because it's called tequila, right?
Yeah.
So
So
how?
they actually get the tequila, the raw tequila from Mexico, and they do all the cutting and all the blending here. So that's their workaround on it. They're not the creators of the tequila.
So what am I
So-
drinking?
The one you have right now is Tequila Saves by Big Springs, and it is a reposado, 80 proof. It is quite delicious, but
It's actually pretty good.
the amount of smokiness on this is fantastic for reposado. Cool part is you can go online, look up Big Springs Spirits, and they will ship it anywhere in PA for free.
That's super cool. And they're opening in PA pretty soon, right?
Yeah, so they closed one of their distilleries. They're going to be reopening in. I'm like looking off in the distance. They're going to be opening another one in south side of Pittsburgh, I believe. It's going to be where they're going to be coming to, but I don't know enough of the details on that to talk with any kind of authority. I don't want to misspeak. But yeah, but the smokiness of that one's fantastic.
And my understanding is too, like, we don't necessarily have to give a direct quote, but like the price point on this is supposed to be super
Oh yeah,
approachable.
incredibly approachable.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
it's-
right in the wheelhouse of what I'm normally spending anyway. It's with the ability to support a local.
Yeah, it's going to give you multiple options on that. The only problem is it's not available in state stores. So,
Well,
well, I think it's in a couple. He said. Again, don't quote me on that, but for the most part, they're looking to do either go get it from the distillery or they'll ship it to you for free.
right, which is super cool, man.
Yeah.
And I look forward to them opening up and me getting to go in there and all that happy stuff. So, Dougie, that's your kid's fault, by the way. Like I used to be Scotch primarily, and then it's not entirely Doug's fault. Dave was a big influence too, and I don't know who it was that shifted Ev, because Evan had a big turn into tequila just a little ways before me, I think.
Yeah.
Where he shifted from drinking a little bit of whatever to just always having a bottle of Coralejo in his bag at all times,
Just ready to go.
But he's a professional. I think he drinks a minimum of one of those bottles a day when he's partying.
When he's partying.
But what's incredible, and for me personally, I have this built-in limit switch where it's like, okay, that's enough. You're not going to have any more, because I don't like to go to bed drunk. I've talked about that on the show before. So I don't know if I can speak to this from the average drinker that can party hard and then pass out.
Wake up and do it again, yeah.
But I don't get hangovers from tequila.
From stopping,
If all I'm drinking is whatever my normal non-alcoholic beverage is and silver tequila, never hungover.
Yeah.
Not once. Not a single time ever.
Wow.
So I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe there's something to it,
Yeah, I'm sure there's some enzyme in it that works for you, or some crazy scientific reason that is well beyond our grasp.
So I doubt Jason's watching, because he was supposed to last week and he didn't, and he probably isn't today.
That whole working thing kind of getting in the way.
Yeah, here's the thing though. In Galvanized on a Sunday, traditionally it's there's nothing happening.
Oh, really?
They need to have a manager out, because there might be, usually those are the downturns where they take care of maintenance and so forth. So those lines aren't actually running, but the manager for Galvanize is also responsible for our annealing departments, but they're pretty self-sufficient. So I don't know if he'll check in or not, but so Jason is recently had to start taking blood pressure medicine, which under the circumstances with all the stuff he's had going on is not unreasonable. But it had the consequence of he's had to kind of back off of really drinking. He could taste things, but he can't actively
consume
party. Yeah. So he's like, I think I'm going to take advantage of this opportunity and stock up.
Oh,
right?
Okay.
Just keep buying I'm going to drink it while I can't drink it. And then whenever I get the ability to kind of work my way down or whatever, I'll have the option to really
have a collection now.
Whatever I want. Yeah. And so I thought that would be an interesting thing to have as a discussion on the show of what should Jason be buying to stock up with now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Let's look at putting a variety. I'd be certainly interested in the input of anybody out in the chat room. And let's come up with okay, this is the minimum requirements. If you're going to try to build up a collection, maybe a little bit of variety, but probably a lot more in the Scotch realm. But hey, what are the bottles that you need to have?
Yeah, actually, so that makes me want to ask you. So if you had to pick 5 bottles to have behind your bar, what would they be?
So I have a follow-up question, because we have to contemplate more than just the bottles themselves. Cost point.
No, for yourself, your 5 bottles
No
you have
matter,
to have.
okay.
No, yeah, I mean, we're not talking unicorns here,
but I mean stuff that's
high.
outside of my normal price range, stuff that I haven't ever bought, but I wish I could.
No,
I'm Macallan 18. I love Macallan 18, but I can't spend $375 on a.
Can't stock it.
If you're telling me if I'm stuck on an island, if money's not an option, that would be in there.
No, I'm saying your standard home bar. Yeah.
All right. So number one, probably my favorite Scotch is Lagavulin 16.
Okay.
And that's at the highest level of approachable. I've had bottles more expensive than that, but that's the one that I can afford once in a while to put another bottle in there and hold
it's
on. It's
high end, reasonable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you were looking at 115, Lagavulin 16. That'd be in there for sure. Number 2 is going to be Dalmore 12.
Yeah.
Because What I really love about that, it's super approachable. I think you're probably looking around 60 right now. The last time I looked is somewhere in that neighborhood. The thing that's wonderful about Dalmore 12 is that it's a really nice, well-aged, smooth Scotch at 12 years that also kind of is a great transition point for somebody that likes whiskey but hasn't done Scotch, and you're like, hey, this is good for somebody that likes bourbon. It's good for someone that likes Scotch.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of classic bourbon kind of color and tasting notes.
It has that
to
sweetness
it,
to it.
but
Yeah.
it has that refined, aged flavor that you get from a Scotch as well. So those are the first two. Coralejo is going to be my next one,
Yeah.
just because it's an everyday kind of, like, if I'm drinking, that's what I want to drink. I also like the 21 Seeds Cucumber Jalapeno, but that's a little bit more of
Here and there, not a.
that's something I could drink every day, but I could also burn myself out on. Whereas like a classic Blanco tequila, I wouldn't.
Yeah.
And it's something that I could pour to anybody and feel like they could drink, whether they're into the other stuff or not. So that's for sure the first three. Going beyond that, like, okay, so I'd like to get a rum in there.
See, I feel like Bumbu would fall into that 21 Seeds kind of category, though. Like, it's really good and I like it, but I couldn't drink that
all the time, no. But it is an amazing rum for the price. It's like something like if you're just looking for someone to be like, hey man, you got to try this at least once. The Bamboo in the clear bottle, not
What's up,
the
Troy
black
Harper?
one.
Keith Kilburn.
Morning, Troy.
Sorry, guys. Didn't realize there.
Hey, they just popped in. So Bamboo is probably one that I'd throw in there. I usually have that in my liquor cabinet all the time. So that gives me what, 4?
Yep.
Okay, so I got 2 scotches, a rum, and a tequila. I'm going to go with a bourbon on the other one, and it's going to be Angel's Envy.
Yeah.
Because Angel's Envy is the one bourbon that I absolutely love. Actually, I'll step you up one. I'll go, it's a little on the high. Actually, no. I'm gonna swap. Let's see.
You have to say words, bud.
Fudge. Well, it's hard now. Now I'm trying to pick just 5.
Yeah. And that's the hindrance.
Angel's Envy is my favorite bourbon, but I'm actually gonna swap that out, and I'm gonna go with for bottle number 5, Liberty Pole Rye.
Yeah.
Because the Angel's Envy Rye is incredible, but it's almost double the cost of Liberty Pole, and I'm not sure that it's any better.
It's a different kind of good.
Yeah.
You're not talking apples to apples. They're not the same by any means. So mine would be more.
There's got to be an Ardbeg in there
for every. Yeah. Well, so I wouldn't actually do the Ardbeg. I'd do the Lefroy 10. Just
okay.
Easy to get.
I took
easy approach.
Ardbeg 10 to my grandparents' house yesterday to share with everybody. Yeah. Everybody had like one. My grandpap had one, which he gets rowdy, and I love it. He's like freaking 93 years old.
Yes.
Gets all whacked out. My uncle and my cousin and me. So there's only 4 of us drinking it. I poured 2, maybe 3 drinks for myself, which would be about 3.5, 4 fingers at best. And my cousin must have been repouring because I left with a quarter of a bottle.
Somebody was having. Somebody was enjoying.
He was pouring when I wasn't looking, for sure. Which
Good
is cool.
him.
That's what I take the bottle for.
That's the point.
He's got 2 babies, so it's
I'm gonna up it to 6 just because in my mind I have a reason.
You get 6, I got 5.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. I'm gonna up it to 6 because I would have Aviation Gin, Tito's Vodka, Captain Private Stock. Those are things that I'm not big on drinking myself, but
you should.
I think you should have it behind the bar.
Okay.
So yeah, I'll give you that 1 extra for that, and then
in going based on where you're at, it's going to have to be Stolies. Because I don't drink vodka straight, but I do use it in the only 2 cocktails that I drink. One of which is obviously the Donkey Punch, which is my version of a Moscow Mule, and the Espresso Martini.
Yep,
I use it in both. So
and that's why I was like, you're not gonna have a problem with that in this one on at all. Yeah, for cocktail reasons. And then from there it'd be Lefroy 10. I'd probably do that Reposado. I'm not big on tequila, but I could definitely drink that. And then for just a regular bourbon, If it's less for me and it is more for like everybody else, it'd be Wild Turkey 101. Because
Okay.
it that always knocks everybody's socks off. They're like, oh, it's Wild Turkey. And then they try it and they're like, oh, but it just has such a good sweetness to it. If it's more for myself, I'd probably go. I, I don't, because I'm torn between like approachability and price point. Probably the peated bourbon from Liberty Pool.
Okay. That's
Yeah.
a great
Yeah,
option.
I like that little bit of peat that's in there, and I like the fact that, like, to me, it doesn't stand out much. Like the peat's just kind of, it's a real light back note. But I've had other people be like, "Oh, that's too peaty," and I'm like, "That's cute, bud." Now, Dream Bar, Octomore, stuff like that. You know, and the 6 bottle thing kind of screws me up because I want to add Glenfiddich in there too.
Okay, which one?
The 12, just the
yeah, figured.
very drinkable, easy. You know, price approachable.
See, I'm Macallan over Fiddick.
Yeah, and it seems like that's like the two schools.
Yeah.
But Macallan, I love how clean it is. But the Glenfiddich, I like that apple sweetness to it.
I think if I'm going like if you want to get like as close as you can to a really high end non-Islay Scotch without breaking the bank, I think the 15 is probably your best option.
Yeah,
The Glenfiddich or the Macallan 15 is like it's like right there on that edge because the higher you get, your improvements are gradual for the money that you're paying, right?
Yeah, one of the things guys say in here all the time, the difference between bad and good is huge. The difference between good and great is tiny.
Yes, it's very
just
tiny,
minute
especially
details.
for the price point.
Yeah, you're paying a lot to get a little bit better.
Fair enough.
The reason it comes up here, I did because I did the Tito's, I did the gin, the Lafroig, the tequila, and then no, that's only 5, and then the bourbon. So yeah, number 6 would end up being that Glenfiddich 12 then.
I don't think it played.
I don't hear it.
Yeah, it's been.
Write that down.
Wow, that was really
that
delayed.
was a really bad delay. Which
really
one was
delayed.
it?
Write that down.
Write that down. Yeah.
Yeah, because I was gonna tell Seneca, write these down. You know what I mean? So that we have. I mean, you could go back and listen to get them on record, but are we gonna?
Now we got Troy Harper lying in the chat. He said he
47.
carries all that stuff in his store, and I'm pretty sure you don't have the Tequila Saves. Come on, bro. and I don't know. I hope you carry Liberty Pool all the way out there. That'd be cool. That'd be really cool to find out.
He says Captain Morgan Reserve rum is also great. It'd be interesting. We actually should write these down, our top 6s for both of us, and we should be presenting Jason with like a list of like, okay,
if only we recorded this.
Yeah, but here's the problem: going back and listening is work. So at least write this down because you have my pen. About somewhere around 40 minutes is when we talked about this, so we could give him a little note for when to look. It's probably earlier than that, but 40 minutes will get you right in the middle, at least of the conversation.
Do you have a I mean, as far as like when you drink bamboo rum versus when you drink tequila, do you have a cigar pick that like you pick one over the other for those? Because I know like you have your standard smoke we've discussed,
Sure,
but like if you had to pick a cigar that you wanted to have with that Coralejo, this time price is no option.
The Coralejo is different, right? Because the Coralejo is really clean, and automatic. Like I don't think that's gonna mess with anything. Whereas if you went bamboo style, bamboo's got that very in your face sweet. That's gonna be the forefront of your palate. So like, I would probably go with something that's going to be able to hold up to that. Whereas the Coralejo, I think, is approachable by any measure. So I would go with something that I'd consider a little sweeter on the natural flavor of the tobacco, which to me normally like goes. So if I'm going outside of my like Aladino vintage selection Rothschild, which is the daily smoke, and go like, okay, I'm not going to go with like price is not an issue here, but like going like, okay, what do I do on a regular to try to get outside of that normal smoke for me is usually anything by Oscar Valadares.
Okay.
So I would say like a happy time for me is a glass of Coralejo and a Superfly.
Okay.
Superfly, really nice, approachable, medium, maybe just a hair over medium, but has a lot of flavor happening, a little bit of natural sweetness in that Maduro aging on the tobacco. And then if I was going for something that's going to be able to keep up and with the flavors that are happening in that bamboo, I probably go somewhere Roma Craft.
Yep.
Because you've got that like meaty up front, like go with a Cro-Magnon or something to that effect.
Yeah.
Like you can't really go wrong. Any pick in the Roma line would be able to work with that.
Well, yeah, exactly, because it's such a contrast to it. I'd probably do with bamboo. I'd probably do the Jacob's Ladder because you have so much punch to it.
Yes.
But you also have a sweet flavor profile with that PA broadleaf on the back. With the Coralejo, I'd actually go a different route than you went for that, and you went more of a complementary pairing on the Coralejo. I would go with the Octane because it has that Habano spice, and it would pull the sweetness out of the Coralejo a little.
Again, the Coralejo, man, for me is
It's
so clean.
so
It's
easy.
water, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, and but it has that sweetness in the back of it, and that's one thing I was thinking about while you were saying it. You drink more sweeter stuff than I do. Like you have more sweets in your rotation of things you consume. Like you
right, yeah.
So
like my non-alcoholic
Right.
beverages, I do, yes.
yeah, so like when you do those, you're sweet. You consume more sweet flavors, so the sweetness to you isn't as strong in the tequila. Where to me, it's like, Coralejo is almost as sweet as the bamboo. It doesn't have that syrupy after effect.
It doesn't have a prominent sweet characteristic. Like you just taste sweetness,
Yeah,
as opposed to banana popsicle.
right. Where you have like an identifiable
Right.
syrupy,
Right.
sensation that comes along with it. So, yeah, I would contrast both of them, but I think the sweetness of a PA broadleaf with the bamboo would be really, really fun to try.
So if we're going out beyond 6 and like went to 10, I'm not sure what the whole next 4 would be. But for sure, something new to me is mezcals.
Yeah.
Which is fantastic because it's like, okay, now you get like your regular tequila and then you have your Islay tequila, essentially, right? And I haven't had a large selection of mezcals, but I will say something that's easily available to most people is that Dos Hombres, which is Bryan Cranston and Jake, whatever.
The other guy from Breaking Bad.
Yeah. The only notable word that he says on that show I don't feel comfortable using because we don't have a swear jar anymore. My fault. But the Breaking Bad boys did really good with that Dos Hombres mezcal, and it's approachable price point as well. It's really good.
Yeah, the Casamigos mezcal, the gray bottle from them.
I don't think I've had that one. But
I'm not a big mezcal guy, but I don't know why. Like I enjoy it, but I'd rather have an Anejo or a Blanco, over that pretty much any time.
Cool.
Yeah, I do have to try the Dos Hombres one because that would be the mezcal. Because you brought in that's the one you brought.
I brought in.
Now that one had more smoke to it than the other ones I've had.
Which I jammed on.
But there's an aftertaste to mezcal that just like it lingers a little too long. I think is my issue with it.
I didn't know that Dos Hombres was mezcal. I didn't understand what mezcal was when I first drank that.
So,
and I was like,
what is the difference between like mezcal? I don't know enough about it. What makes it mezcal versus tequila?
Traditional tequila, they use some sort of smoking process, which would be similar to. I'm not sure what the exact process is and what they use. I'm not sure that it's peat moss, for example. But essentially, they do something in the process that imparts that smoke flavor, which in Islay tequilas or Islay scotches, what they do is they use peat moss and burn it and char the barrels with it, right? Which imparts that smoky flavor.
I'm not sure. That doesn't sound right to me for some reason.
I mean, it's entirely. I've been wrong before.
Yeah, I don't know why that. I don't know what they do with the peat, but for some reason that doesn't sound right to me. They do something with it.
I've said that on the show before, and Earl Serene came in and like corrected me.
Yeah,
early on. So I'm not sure that's the exact, but there is something that has to do with peat moss being burnt for sure.
Yeah,
I just don't know exactly what the process is, but it imparts the taste and smell of smoke. Like you feel like you're drinking a campfire. Essentially, right?
Yeah,
and I love that so much.
Yeah, and I think that's why I like the Dos Hombres one,
Yes.
where like the Casamigos one, it's super clean, great flavor, all that. It's just not a flavor for me.
If when you drink scotch, if you like Lafroig, if you like Ardbeg, if you like any of those like a Lagavulin, then the Dos Hombres uh, mezcal is essentially to me to tequila what like an Ardbeg or a Lafroig is
It's to
to
scotch.
scotch.
Yeah, I mean, no, that's a
And
good way of putting it.
It's fantastic. I really enjoy it.
Yeah, I mean, and like the reposados and the anejos, they get their smoke from the barrel, from being aged a little bit. I know that much, but it's not smokiness as much as that caramel, vanilla, classic kind of flavors.
Well, you know how like when you're talking to, especially to anybody that knows how to blend cigars and has blended them, and you're like, I'd really love this, but with this, and they're like, it's not that easy.
Yeah,
But you know, in your mind, you're like, I just want to combine this flavor with that flavor. I think it'd be ideal. I would love whatever process they use in the Dos Hombres mezcal to be applied to the 21 seeds cucumber jalapeno
oh, to give it that
like that.
smoke on
Maybe
it.
not that. Maybe you'd have to lose the cucumber, but if you had like a smoked jalapeno style tequila, I think that would hit all of the cylinders.
Well, you know what? Next time you get a bottle of the Dos Hombres, bring it in for the show, and we'll smoke it.
With the
'Cause
Dos Hombres is smoky taste.
Or, I'm
already
sorry,
in
with the 21 seeds.
We could do that.
And I'll bring this. I'll bring the smoker over, and we'll smoke it
It'll
on here.
have to be not next week, but 2 weeks from now.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
'Cause
it
can
wasn't a
only
rush
drink
thing, but
every
yeah.
other week.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, I'll say this again at the end of the show, but next week, which is going to be May 19th, Troy Harper, this is very paramount for you. You're going to want to be here next week at 9:30 to watch the whole show live because we have Dave Puskovich and Louis LaManna coming on. The significance of that is June 15th. We have the, I don't know if there's an actual title to it or not. I don't think they have like a
Cigar
name. It's the Cigar Box Festival.
Yeah.
The Pittsburgh Cigar Box Festival is going to be happening out in the outskirts of the Pittsburgh area, which is going to be incredible. Essentially, we're going to start at 11 a.m. The Strum Junkies are opening up with Louis behind the drums, maybe a bass player. Louis in like 3 or 4 of these different groups
Nice.
playing in different capacities. But Louis is the local legend for Cigar Box guitars. Everybody that's playing over this festival for the whole day is going to use at least one cigar box instrument. So,
Yeah.
and like I know last year they had a guy playing a cigar box fiddle, like their cigar box basses, cigar box guitars, cigar box mandolins. There are a lot of really high quality bands, and us. We're opening, so like you just come late if you don't feel like watching the trash beforehand.
Yeah.
But,
I have some cool boxes that I've saved for Louis that I've been waiting to get him out here for until I had enough of them.
So they're going to come in next week and give you guys, especially the people that may be on the outskirts of Pittsburgh that might consider traveling. Troy, if there was ever a time on you traveling to Pittsburgh to come over to your Mecca and hang out with the Junkies, it would be June 15th. There's going to be a Saturday because, I mean, it's all about music and cigars. There's going to be cigar vendors, wine vendors, food vendors, and it's going to be like, you know, a very small Woodstock version of a
that's
concert,
cool.
and it's going to be awesome. So check out the show next week for more details on that. It'll definitely interest any of the musician lovers in the audience as well.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the cigar
Yeah,
news
I'm gonna
for the week, shall we? I don't
fill
have
up my
a bump-
coffee while you do
I
that.
still haven't made myself a new bumper to play, but we don't need one.
Yeah.
So do 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 do. It's time for the cigar news. Do 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 do. 2024 PCA trade show. Miami Cigar and Company introduced Tatiana Groovy Blue Gran Toro. This is a limited edition cigar that'll be the largest Tatiana cigar released to date. I'm not sure if that vibes with our listeners or not, but like, you know, there's some people out there that like the occasional infused stick. I promise you, Sam, he sells more infused stuff probably than anything else. So like that's where the money comes from for sure. This is going to be a 6x58 format. A total of 2,500 10-count boxes have been produced. The price point comes in at $14. Shipping for the Tatiana Groovy Blue limited edition is slated for June. And they describe the flavor as a fusion of berries, vanilla, Acacia honey, and cognac. So if the flavored profile hits your meter. That's one for you to check out. They also introduced a new line known as the Tatiana Delights. Very different line for Tatiana brand. Traditionally, they do a lot of infused stuff, but with the Delights, there's no flavoring other than a sweet-tipped cap. So they're kind of giving you a nice transitional point for the people that are trying to go from flavored to non-flavored. So here's a traditional blended cigar that has a sweet tip on it to kind of let you transition over to typical stuff. Comes in larger formats when compared to other Tatiana offerings presented in 18 count boxes. The sizes available are Robusto, Toro, and Churchill. The blend is produced out of La Aurora and features an Ecuadorian Connecticut wrapper over Dominican Corojo binder and a combination of Corojo and Criollo 98 fillers. It's due to hit shelves in June as well. So keep your eyes out for that, especially for if you have a lady in your life or a girly man friend that's trying to get into manly cigars. That's the way to go.
Get after it.
Pitter patter.
Let's
Forge
get at
Cigar Company has announced the Diesel Row Whiskey Row Founders Collection Mizunara.
Mizunara.
It's a collaboration between Diesel and Rabbit Hole Distillery, marking the fourth collaboration between the two brands. Diesel Whiskey Row Founder Collection Mizunara was developed by Justin Andrews, blended by AJ Fernandez, and handcrafted at Tabacalera AJ Fernandez in Esteli, Nicaragua. The cigar features a proprietary aging process and leverages rare Japanese Mizunara oak barrels used to age Rabbit Hole's 15-year-old Mizunara Founders Collection bourbon. Like many previous Diesel and Rabbit Hole collaborations, the focus has been on aging the binder leaf and bourbon barrels. In this case, the leaf for the binder was selected to be aged in Japanese Mizunara oak casks, previously mentioned. And the bourbon was released in 2021. According to a press release, the barrels impart hints of oak, black pepper, and other exotic nuances to the binder leaves. The remainder of the blend features a Connecticut broadleaf wrapper and Nicaraguan Habano fillers. So.
Yeah. Have you had any Mizunara whiskeys?
No, I don't believe I
They
have.
are phenomenal. I haven't had the Rabbit Hole one. I'm very curious. I didn't realize they had one, but a couple of the Japanese whiskeys I've had that had that stuff were just phenomenal. It's to the whiskey the same as like Ambrulana is, like that Brazilian wood. That's getting more popular. It just has a unique sweetness to it that's really just different.
Cool.
It's quite good. Have you tried the Blanco yet, or are you just now going at it?
I'm getting ready
okay.
to, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know if that was
I just wanted to make sure
your first sip or not.
I'm ready to go.
Yeah, I saw the preparatory grab.
I held it up
drink.
and I was like, wait, I want to get myself in a mind space
Yeah.
for this. So this is the Blanco, which is what I traditionally drink.
Yep.
Okay, so I definitely come in getting that sweetness that you might say that you taste on the Corlejo without, drinking the sweet
Yeah, this
stuff
one's a
as I
little
do.
sweeter.
It is a little forward on the sweetness, very clean, a little bit more of a smoke on the end, particularly through my nose.
I wonder if that's
not
coming
with
from the
an-
glass from before. I wonder if that's from the Reposado, because I never got that. That's crazy.
It could also just be my brain being wired differently than yours. You know what I mean? Everybody's palate.
Nobody's wrong. That's the glory of it.
It doesn't taste smoky. It doesn't taste like a mezcal or an Islay Scotch. It's just like maybe it has a little bit of a heat on the end that I'm associating with that. So
yeah. Would you? I mean, we know where the price point roughly is. Would you go in at that?
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about between 30 and 40, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. This is definitely something that I would go to. To be honest with you, I think the Reposado is probably more my wheelhouse than this one is. This is actually really good as well. I just don't know if I like this more than the Blancos that I'm already drinking in that neighborhood. So
you don't know if it has what it takes to break into your rotation.
Yeah, for sure. And who knows? Like, I could be 100% wrong. It could be the exact opposite after a little bit of time to acclimate to it. But it's really good.
Yeah.
I just don't think the thing about this is really good to me in a way that it's like it lets you know that it's there.
Yeah.
But it's not as easy to be like, here's somebody that doesn't normally drink tequila and is kind of a little scared. Like Corlejo is so approachable.
Yeah.
And so like like I don't want to say watery, but like it is so smooth you almost
It's
don't
thin.
know it's there. Yeah.
It's real thin. Where this has a bit more body to it.
Yeah,
Um,
if you're somebody that wants a Blanco tequila and you're more of a leather tongue and you're smoking darker, more peppery cigars, this would be a great Blanco
Yeah.
tequila to put into your lineup for sure.
Yeah, because it definitely gives you a lot more of it right up front and tells you about itself. Where, like you said, the Corlejo is a little thinner without the body, but it's cleaner than
We're all
even
a
this
little
is.
thinner without the body.
Yeah,
You know?
right. Yeah. Help me, help me. Oh, I don't know why, but I am absolutely just looking forward to a freaking day off tomorrow.
I wonder why.
Yeah, this is gonna be this. I don't do this often, but I'm pretty sure I'm not leaving my couch tomorrow. Like
Yeah?
tomorrow is just I'm coming downstairs, getting the kids on the bus, and I'm pulling a timber. It's game over for me.
Sweet, dude. Do you have like do you have a list of like what you're gonna put on the TV while you're on the couch?
I'm probably just gonna sleep.
Really?
Yeah, I'm
Why
gonna
not
waste
just
the
sleep
entire
in the
day
bed?
because
Because it feels
yeah,
different on the couch.
it feels like I'm wasting my day if I do it in the bed.
It's different.
Whereas if I'm on the couch, it's okay. That makes it all right. I don't know. Don't judge me. Plus,
Uh,
the playroom runs cooler than my bedroom does. So
just in case, let's say maybe Sam has a little trouble sleeping and decides to turn the TV on. Have you gotten to watch with any attention the Fallout TV series?
I think I'm still on episode 3 of that.
Okay.
So like,
Did you get to like pay attention to 1 and 2?
yeah, oh yeah, yeah.
And?
That's why I'm only on 3. Is like I'm only watching that when I
Okay.
can put time to it. I've been actually going over Ray Donovan just as like background show, like just in the background listening to it. I don't know if you ever saw that
I
show.
don't know what Ray Donovan
He's
is.
he's a fixer, so he's a Hollywood fixer. So if you accidentally kill a hooker, he cleans it up, kind of thing. Really, really, really dark but funny show at the same time. Yeah, really dark but funny show at the same time.
Okay.
But no, with the Fallout stuff, very, very impressed with the production quality of it.
Really well made
Just
show, dude.
Fantastic how they went into it.
What I love about it is like
Salut, Dougie Doug. He's on his way out.
See a doggy. It hits like it hits on a level that most projects that like are an interpretation of a different media do not. Like
Yeah.
book readers to TV show or movies, and like there's been so many unsuccessful video game to movies done, and like recently we've got a couple of really good ones like The Last of Us. Dare I even say it, like there's no storyline in Sonic the Hedgehog, but the Sonic the Hedgehog movie
Dude, it was
great.
fantastic.
Like it's hard to mess.
I still
like,
haven't watched the second one yet.
Me neither.
Actually, I might do
kinda
that with the kids tomorrow night.
I started, but I haven't watched the whole thing. But Jim Carrey's fantastic in
Yeah.
that freaking movie. But Fallout, what I really love about it is like, I guess you still have the genre attached to it that you do with like The Last of Us and the zombie apocalypse. So if you have like somebody in your life that's like just not into that, it's probably not going to vibe. But Fallout is like so approachable to anybody. You don't have to know what the game is to be able to enjoy it as a show.
Enjoy the story. You don't have to have that attachment, that nostalgia.
They did such a good job of capturing that weird retro futuristic 50s feel to everything, and like even with like the music and the framing and all the stuff that's happening in there, and just being an entertaining product while also like staying just a little bit ahead of you, so you're like, oh, that you would if we would do this and again, and oh, they're doing it.
Yep,
like
the looting thing that you discussed before. No, I think Fallout is to the video game adaptation what Marvel did with comic books. Like I think they finally got one, spot on where they nailed it.
And I think more so with Fallout, because Marvel was such a big thing with such a dense.
Well, I'm talking like early on when they hit Iron Man correctly, and then they hit Captain America correctly. Like the original ones that like they nailed, and they took enough creative liberty to make it different that the nerds weren't going to be mad that it was different. It's like, okay, this is an alternative version of what you read in the comics, so that made it okay.
I'm not sure, because I watched the Age of Ultron with one Jason Smith. I
Excuse me.
believe we watched it in North Dakota.
Oh, really?
And I was like, that was pretty cool, man.
Yeah.
And Jason's like, that's not what Ultron is.
Yeah.
In the comic. And I'm like, calm the F down,
Yeah.
dude. Like, you can't expect it to be like identical. But I understand too when you have, because I get that with Star Wars. Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, all this new stuff, there was an existing lore and all this history. And I get that they weren't going to do it spot on, but they almost did stuff just to like rub in your face of like, we're not doing what you thought we
Yeah.
were. It's like, man, this is not as good, dude.
Yeah,
It's a tough line to walk.
yeah, they took and it's got to be it's you can't put into a different media something that wasn't designed for that media and get it 100% right.
Right.
And that's, to play the game of Fallout is fun because you have to loot and because you have to do this and you have to build this and you have to create as you go. You don't get that because you're sitting there watching it. So
well,
you lose that allure.
The comic book thing is like, they should be easier to let go because writers get boxed into a corner by what the previous storylines have been,
Right.
to the point where they're like, hey, what if we did a multiverse?
Yeah.
So that we could tell a different story, or like, what if we just we revamp and do a reboot and like start this over again so that we can make alterations and not have it be exactly what it was in the 60s and 70s and have this be different for a new generation of readers and stuff.
But even within the comic book world, they've had to do that. Like,
that's what I'm saying.
Like you can only write the same battle scene so many times,
right,
with different characters. So
how many times they kill off a character and then they start over with a new thing and you bring them back and
that's something Marvel's done better than DC. That's DC's like, we're not even going to try and embrace our lore. And it's like, well, hold on. The character exists. You know, like using a new guy to play the Flash when you have an existing like 6 seasons of a guy playing the Flash.
Who's not super douchey.
Right. Like, yeah, who actually plays it way better than the guy you picked.
Yeah.
I despise the guy they picked for the Flash.
Oh, yeah, it's pretty rough. I did eventually watch the Flashpoint movie. Like,
I haven't seen it.
Was free. And but mostly I did it because I was like, I kind of want to see old Michael Keaton.
Yeah.
And that was pretty neat.
Yeah,
it was okay. It was better than the Justice League. But
that's not hard to do.
I didn't want to support that movie because of that actor. But in terms of what Marvel's done, is like the comic book readers, you should be used to this because everyone's like, they got me boxed in. I can't do this with this guy. I can't do that with that guy. And for the most part, I think they did a really good job with every character except for one. And the big reason that they've had trouble is because they don't have sole rights to that one character. Right. He can only be used in a conglomeration, like he has to be used with other characters. Who is it?
Spider-Man.
No.
Oh, you're talking about the DC side of it?
No. Marvel. Spider-Man, I thought they've done pretty good with.
Yeah, but I'm saying they can't.
A young version of Spider-Man. But you're thinking of the other one. It's the Hulk.
Oh, yeah.
The Hulk, God. They can't do a Marvel standalone movie with the Hulk, and they've kind of had a bits and pieces him in from the other side, and they've tried doing some of the things, and like Ragnarok was the best use of the Hulk so far. But like Hulk as a character is like more interesting, well, also more powerful, I think, than what he gets credit for, because the madder you make him, the stronger he is, right? Like, so the more you beat him, the stronger he gets almost. But that's what I thought they did really well in Infinity War and Endgame, is have Hulk just get his ass kicked so that like he can't be angry, he's scared.
Yeah.
And a scared Hulk has no power.
Yeah. They brought that across well, but they didn't explain that that's what happened well. So I think that I agree with you that they did it well, but they didn't put out there that that's what they're doing. Like, you took a lot of thought to realize why the Hulk was a pansy in those movies.
Yeah, and I get that kind of sucks a little bit, but it's also kind of great in another way too, because it does make you think. And like you see in the beginning of that fight, like Hulk just comes in and starts just tormenting Thanos. But as soon as Thanos has an opportunity to recognize and use his mind, which is one of his strengths in addition to the brute force, he's easily able to tear him apart and go like, there's just rage. There's no rhyme or reason. All I have to do, it's like the the Captain America versus Iron Man fight
Yeah.
in Civil War, where it's like, okay, we can't beat him, analyze his pattern, and let's
But yeah, let's
let's
go past it. Yep.
yes, and
Yeah.
that's all Thanos does is goes like, okay, like he is stronger than me, but he's mindless.
Yeah. He's just swinging.
Yes.
Yep.
So as soon as he's able to counter any of that and put a hurting on Hulk, Hulk's just has nothing to answer with. He's like not used to that.
Yeah.
And he goes into fear mode and it's like, okay. Like somebody should have got him a green pill.
Yeah. Something to get it there. No, it's wild. I think that's the best part about the Marvel movies is you can completely mindlessly watch them and enjoy them, or you can sit there and think as much as you want about it, and you're still gonna like. There's depth to it, and it's surface level is good to watch too. Because you look at some movies and it's like, okay, that's great, but man, I had to think a lot to like work through that movie, and that's good. That's its own thing. They managed to blend that with mindless bang bang shoot 'em up crap at the same
Fair.
time.
Did you watch season 2 of Loki?
No, I didn't make. I never made it through season 1.
Did you like season 1? Just
Yeah,
not get
I just never
through
got through it. I think I
because
got
of
to like
life?
episode 5. I've tried to watch like rewatch and go back.
If I had to give you like any Marvel assignment that was like, hey, you need to do this, season 1 and 2 of that show.
Yeah,
Although I will say that there seems to be a pretty good divide on Loki season 2, and I'm wondering if time's going to help that one because I really liked the ending, and a lot of other people did. Like, I think it's a pretty 50-50. Like,
Yeah.
you loved it or you hated it, and I thought it was brilliant, and I felt really, justified and like felt rewarded for following along
Yeah.
all this time. I think it's a really great overall arc from the time that you see Loki the first time to where he becomes and also like speaking of the thinking too much stuff about Marvel, which I think was more prominent early on whenever there felt like there was a cohesive plan for everything. Like people go back and be like, "Man, Loki isn't the same guy in Avengers as he is before and after that, right?"
it's like he's not supposed
He's
to
like
be. He's lived through some
super-
stuff.
Well, not only that, but he's like super evil and like
Oh, yeah.
where normally he's just kind of like self-serving, but he's
Yeah.
not like blatantly evil. And this was a theory that I seen not that long ago that made me go back and rethink it. And I thought it was really brilliant. Is the scepter has the ability to influence everybody,
Yep.
right? Like whenever Banner looks down and accidentally realizes on the helicarrier that he's holding the staff and it's like what's working everybody up. Like, why couldn't Thanos gave that to Loki? Why
Yeah.
couldn't Loki be influenced by
Yep.
the Mind Stone as well in that situation? I'm like, yo, that's really wild. Like you even notice he looks different in that show. Like his eyes are like
Yeah.
dark and he looks wore out and like
They give him that addiction.
and like
quality.
and yeah, until you come back and look at who Loki is as a whole before and after that, you're like it's kind of like, oh, okay, like he's this childish person that just wants the world to acknowledge him. But then you can go back and look at it and be like, no, like there's something instrumentally different about his character in this and his motivations than everything else.
Yeah, he's the god of mischief, and in this he's evil.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, one of the things I did love from Loki was the fact that Infinity Stones are just paperweights and drawers, and like
Yeah.
they're nothing. That was cool. I like the fact that you have the multiverse, and then with Loki, they added timeline, so now you have multiple multiverse situations all at once, and like the complexity of it is
It's
just.
so good.
But it brings you back to what you were saying, like, hey, let's come up with a multiverse. Loki died.
Yeah.
Oh crap! How do we keep this cool character alive? Oh,
Yeah.
we'll just go back in time and yank him out for a minute.
Yeah. I really loved his did you get to at least into it to where you've the Lokis all together, the variants?
No, I'm in the grocery store.
Man.
I'm in that.
There ain't no real spoilers here that are gonna hurt you. But dude, it gets so good when you put a pile of Lokis together because they're all variants and none of them like traditional variants when you think of the multiverse and Marvel and stuff, they all kind of look the same. But all of these variants that got plucked. You've got the super old man Loki. You've got a black pirate Loki. You've got a child Loki. Obviously, there's a female one. But there's an alligator one
Yeah.
that just has a crown on, and he's like, "That's a Loki too." He's like, "Yeah." Like, but he's an alligator.
Alligator.
And
Yeah.
it's like he can't talk. He's an
Yeah.
alligator. It's so good.
Yeah. And that, like, by doing that, they showed like, okay, we can do anything we want, and it's okay because it fits our lore now, and it fits their, overarching, what they're going for.
Yeah, it's really good. It's
What are
really
your
good.
thoughts now that we're pretty far into this guy?
A little bit of pick up on the strength toward the end, which is kind of nice. It's not overwhelming. I think probably pretty soon we got probably another half an inch to go before it probably gets to washout.
Yeah.
But right now it's nice. It's almost like approaching aroma where it's been pretty chill up until now.
Very, very medium until
yeah.
now.
Yeah, like right at the end, you're getting the kick over the finish line, which is a nice way to finish it out. A little bit of a change. What do you think, Ryan Seneca?
Yeah. What are your thoughts on the
Since
cigar?
you're smoking Jason's.
Yeah.
Jason's like, I really want to smoke that cigar. I can't wait to get it. And I'm like, Seneca's.
Yeah. I'm handing it off. Haha. He said it's good. It's medium.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Goes good.
Yeah, he said it goes good with coffee. I got to agree on that. It does actually go really well with it because it does have that medium quality to it where it lets the coffee be kind of the center point of it.
This is why Seneca doesn't get a microphone. Good, medium, good with coffee.
That was good. I liked it. Well, I think he's saying it that way because he doesn't have a microphone because it's really awkward if we just sit here and then repeat what he says and then sit here. But no, I have a customer that, he's a Connecticut guy, like shade wrappers. And he keeps saying, he's like, man, I just wish there was a cigar that was like the last 2 inches of this. And I'm like, there's a lot of them. They just don't have shade wrappers. So finally yesterday he tried the ATL Magic.
Okay.
And he was blown away. And then at the very end, he's like, yeah, it's just too much. I'm like, okay, so
So you like that burst at the end, but you don't have the endurance to do it the whole way through.
Right. Which I'm kind of envious of him because he gets to enjoy the first 3/4 of the cigar before it gets to the part he doesn't like, as opposed to when he normally
But
smokes.
it sounds like he does like it. He likes that last quarter too. He just can't take that.
He's
the
just
whole
not
thing.
there, yeah. And that's just it. That strength builds up on him at the end, which is what he historically liked. So like we found kind of the middle ground now. So then now I get to start trying to hold her to different cigars. So I'm going to give him the Vintage Rothschild next.
Okay.
But I'm probably going to give it to him in probably the Lancero.
Well, then it's not the Rothschild, is it?
Well, yeah, sorry. It's not the Rothschild.
You're just so used to those two words being synonymous with each other because of me.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you're right. I do that all the time. But the vintage in the Lancero, because it's got that creaminess to it that the Rothschild doesn't have. There's a creamy aspect that the Lancero just knocks out of the park.
The Rothschild is just it's almost its own line because all of the other vintage selection Aladinos have a single wrapper, whereas the Rothschild has the addition of a Habano and the original Corojo. So like the rest of the line has a Habano wrapper, but it doesn't have a Corojo wrapper underneath of it, which is probably beneficial for you as someone that's not all about that Corojo life.
Exactly.
So it's like gives you enough of a distinction away from the normal blend to be like, hey, let's look at how some of the other tobaccos can taste.
Well, like of all the Lanceros I have, that's one of the ones that because I have a couple people that are on a quest to go through all the Lanceros. Okay. So like every time they come in, they get 1 or 2 Lanceros and they sit and smoke and we talk about them as they go. And the vintage is one that people keep coming back to after they make it through the rack. Yeah. So like they go through all the ones I have and then they start trying that and they're like, oh, this is a completely different experience. And when they go back to it again, now they've got that, like me, I judge every cigar on the second one I have. Okay. Because like I get
that's clear. I mean, not always the case. Sometimes the first one was more indicative of how it is and the second one isn't. So like you still have to be careful, but at least by the time you get to second, if it's the same as the first, you can go, okay,
you know what it is. Yeah. But like now you don't have a blank slate that you're building off of. So you can really pay attention to you can start paying attention to this or that note. And like you can start looking for the different things in it. Pretty cool. Seneca just said in the chat, the Lancero customer I'm talking about made him grab one. Yeah. And then you know, it's cool that like even the guys that are starting to like it are recommending it beyond that.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of cigars in there that do that. You know, there's obvious ones that do that are like super, you know, the Rosa Sharon customers tell other guys like, "Hey, dude, it's super creamy. You got to try it." Or the PA Broadleaf on the Southern, I'm just sticking with Southern Draw, but like the Jacob's Ladder, they're like, "Dude, you got to try this Lancero because it's super full." The vintage doesn't have like one thing about it that makes it so good. It's just a good stick. And
Yeah.
there's not a lot of them that don't have that single characteristic that drives people to them that people recommend to each other. So it says a lot to the quality of the blend.
So this is a good transition point.
To pour coffee all over myself.
What is the name of the new Dino?
The Fuma Noche.
Fuminoche, the new one from Aladino. So like a lot of people just think I blindly follow Aladino. I don't. There's lines that I won't go to. I like more of their cigars than I don't. And like the classic is a cigar that's supposed to differentiate from their normal stuff, and I kind of lean away from it because of that. But the Fuminoche I had last between the two shows, and it's a little bit of a bigger cigar than I would prefer. That only comes in the one size. But man, what a wild experience!
That's what you said. I haven't smoked it yet.
So it is as mild gets when you light it, and it's so wild because you're like, oh wow, this is like nothing, and then you retro it, and the retro is crazy aggressive.
Yeah.
And it's the only cigar I've ever smoked where you get a crazy aggressive retro with a really light mouth taste.
Yeah.
And it was so wild. And like toward the end, it builds a little bit on the mouth draw and chills a little bit on the retro. So it meets itself in the middle a little bit. Still not quite a perfect 100, like a perfect 50-50 mix. But that's not going to be a regular rotation for me, but I'm going to have to smoke another one just to see if it does it again, because it was so unexpected.
Abstract and just weird.
Yeah, dude, it was just so like conflicting with itself, which was really cool in a way that I didn't know was going to be possible. Just to be like, oh wow, this is like smoking nothing, and then you go, and it's like,
whoa, where did that come from?
Exactly, where did that come from? That was just had nothing to do with the rest of the cigar experience. It's wild.
Yeah, that's
I can't wait to see if you have the same experience.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to get. Maybe I'll try and get in that one today.
So
yeah,
I know you've been kind of.
It's like I want to, but I don't yet. Well, that's like even like the God of Fire's in there. Like I really want to smoke one.
Yeah,
but I only got 10.
High pros.
Yeah.
So here's the plus side. I just sold one to Seneca. So you know Seneca's gonna have to go grab that Aladino now just to see if he has
just to give it a go.
Experience with it. Yeah. Just to see how just a second, just to see how it feels.
Right. He said, going back to the Lancero conversation, he said the customer grabbed the Aladino Classic, which is another completely different cigar in Lancero. I would say honestly, Aladino does that. Like they don't. You grab the Corona. Yeah, it's a different cigar,
which is cool. It's not. I don't know if it's quite as extreme as it is with the vintage selection, which is primarily because
it's a different blend.
The origin of the vintage selection Rothschild was that the Rothschild is Julio's favorite blend, or his favorite size. So, like, while he was chilling in between Camacho's sale and when Jerry's started, he's just still making cigars. And so they stumble into this room essentially, and there's all these. Like, what are these? And he's like, "Oh, well, we can't really do anything with them because we already have Corojo Puros with the Aladino name on them. So like, you can't just keep making everything as a Puro, Corojo Puro." And so they're like, "Well, these are really good. Let's try throwing a Habano wrapper on it. They take this dirty Habano leaf and put it on there. And it's like, wow, this is really good." Well, so they started putting a Habano wrapper on all the ones that were already rolled, but then anything else they were making is like, well, we don't need to put a Corojo wrapper on it. We're going to put the Habano on it. But it makes it a different blend, a different cigar. Whereas Aladino has this incredible differences between their cigars. So like every cigar has a size that you're going to be like, this is the one. And like as an example, the uh help me on the African tobacco.
Cameroon.
Their Cameroon line. It's the oh, now I'm gonna brain fart the damn size too.
Queen's Perfecto.
No, it's
Lancero.
not. Nope. It's a size that's not very popular that a lot of people don't make.
Oh, the Santi. That little Santi.
Nah, damn it. It's like a traditional size, but it's not one that you see very often anymore. It's a Lonsdale.
Lonsdale.
The Lonsdale of the of that line is by far my favorite, far and away. But then like the original Corojo, the Lancero is the best. The Corojo Lancero is incredible. And then the Maduro, which are all box pressed, it's the Corona. They're all over the place.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like every one, it's like, no, this one's better, that one's better, this one's better. And it's cool that you get maybe 5 different lines, but then you get 5 versions of each line.
5 different cigars.
Yeah. Man, it really is nice to be able to go like, oh, this is a little bit different than this. You find your favorites inside of those lines. I like that.
Which makes me wonder, because I like the Maduro, and they just came out with the Gordo, and I wonder how the Gordo would be, but I hate smoking a Gordo.
I hate it when the Gordo's the best.
And that's why
That's
I'm
what
like,
I really
I don't,
hate.
yeah.
On the plus side of that one, it's a box press still, right?
I don't know.
Because the
I would
whole
assume
Maduro
so.
line, as far as I know, is all box press.
Yeah.
I think even their Lancero is box press.
There's one from them that's not. I don't remember which one.
So if it's box press, at least it makes the Gordo more approachable by not having the girth that you would get with a rounded cigar.
Either way, looking at it, I went, nah, I'm not smoking that. Like nothing against the cigar. I'm not
you
going
don't
at
even
it.
want to like it.
Yeah. Well, that's like you said, like the Fuminoche is a 6x54, and you say it's a little big for you, and I'm like,
It's
then
not
you move up to a 60.
terribly
Like, come
big,
on.
but it is bigger than I want it to be.
Yeah.
It's like if this cigar just hit on all cylinders for me, I would smoke it. It's a little bigger than I would normally go to, but it would be worth it. For me, the interest level of the juxtaposition of the normal puff and the retro. Somebody's got to turn in their warranty lighter there. I don't know what you just broke, but
Yeah.
Seneca
He'll be
dropped
fine.
one.
You'll figure it out.
So, but yeah, it's wild.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying you're gonna love this cigar. I'm not saying it's in my regular rotation, but it is one that just makes you scratch your head and go, "How?"
Yeah. It's not like I'm intrigued for sure. And again, it's a 54, so it makes it easier for me to not want to smoke it.
Yes.
But 54 that's the high end of what I'm cool with.
The thing that's really interesting is is this going to be a one-off? Like, what did I happen to get one that was different from the pack? Because you don't know, and so you kind of have to go like, okay, I'm going to have to go back to it at some point and find out if every one is going to be that.
Well, you said that, and it got me thinking. Like, okay, great bands and boxes will put one cigar in somebody's hand. Like that you'll get people to buy it because you have great presentation. Do that and then have it be intriguing, and you're going to get at least 2 in their hand now.
Yeah.
So even if the first time they had it, they were like, I don't know about it, but it did that weird, retro and, mouthfeel or mouth taste were just so drastically different. Now I have to try it again. So that's a neat marketing side of things that you get my brain kind of rolling on.
So, like, the master of podcasts and retail is Dave Garofalo, right? And they always say the third order is when you know if a brand's going to be successful or not. Because the first one people are going to try because it's new. So you're going to sell through the first order just out of
it's new.
Yeah, out of it's new. You're going to have to get a second one. So, like, if you sell through the second one and have to order a third one, the third order, like if you go heavy on that third order, that's when you know you've got a new brand that's going to do well in your shop for a long period of time.
Very much can verify that one because I'm not going to name it. I have a cigar that was okay, that was new, and I brought it in. and it blew off the shelves. I think I went through 7 or 8 boxes in no time. So the next time I ordered like 15 or 20 boxes,
And it's sitting.
and I'm sitting on 14 of those, and that
Well,
was 6 months ago.
There's also something to be said too that you've learned from salesmanship is one of the things, man, like, and how things are positioned in ways that you never expected. Like you were telling me about how these same 6 cigars were sitting in this box forever because they're clumped together on the side of the box. But as soon as you spread them out in a certain spacing, all of a sudden people's eyes are drawn to them and they grab them.
Yep. And that's, I try and
wild.
like Aladino right now, all the boxes are turned sideways, the lid's off, and the cigars are laid the way they should be. And then there's a row of them on top that sit up at an angle like that.
Mhm.
Since I did that, Aladino's picked back up again.
It's
just,
like weird.
Just turning them 90 degrees.
What's really wild too is like for the longest time, I was the only one that bought Rothschilds.
Right.
Right. And then and like they'd just be sitting there waiting for me. And then all of a sudden they picked up steam and you started rolling through them with other customers too, right?
Yep. Well, and that's like, because I'm a hand sell shop, I get to play that game where I get to be like, all right, for the next 2 weeks, I'm going to try and hand everybody this cigar that if I think it fits them, I'll try and hand them this cigar. And we'll see in another month if they keep buying them or not. Because like anytime I have an event here, whatever brand it is, they sell like crazy for the next month. Like all month long, that brand does great.
Sure.
And then
because it's out in the front of people's minds.
Well, and you just put it in their hand. It's something new. It's something fresh. And then they come back and they buy again after the event. Okay, that's good.
Right.
But I'm learning like how the indicators work on that. Just because you do really well for a month afterwards or 2 months afterwards doesn't necessarily mean it's going to do well, but it carries some steam for a bit.
There's a logic that instantly pops into my head that makes that work, and it's because these are the people that want to try different stuff, right? So you're going to have that guy who bought it twice is now going to come back in and buy the next cigar that's out in the forefront and probably grab it again, right?
Right.
But they're going to already, unless it really moves them, it's since they're already trying different stuff all the time, it has to make a big splash to displace something from their normal rotation of stuff that they always get and try other things, right? So that's where the difficulty comes in trying to predict
where it's going to go next. Yeah, and that's like the Feathered Serpent does incredibly well. It's such a unique cigar, the Apostate one, the Candela from them. It's so unique that it broke into a ton of people's rotations really fast. You know, and one is a lot of people had never tried Candela at all before.
Okay.
You know, and historically Candela is fairly light. It's, you know, it has a strong flavor to it, but it's a lighter cigar. So a lot of guys discount it because of that. The Feather Serpent doesn't have that issue. It's not as light and friendly as many of the others. But the rest of the Apostate line, there's a couple that do good, but there's a couple I have to get rid of. Like they're not performing the way I need them to take that much shelf space. So, and it's that game. And then one trick that like Apostate does, and I like it for the most part, but their boxes, you need them together.
Yeah.
The whole presentation is based on having the line together.
Okay,
you know, well, like if I'm going to drop, I don't know, one of the ones off, I'm going to say the Feathered Serpent because I'm already talking. If I was going to drop that one out of the line, now the whole presentation breaks.
It's off, yeah.
And it's a different way of going about it than a lot of them. Like Aladino, their boxes, each one of their boxes is a showpiece, and they do their thing. Where I don't know if it's a good idea or a bad idea is like I'm not going to keep it on my shelf just to make it your presentation look better.
Sure.
I wonder if that's going to end up hurting them if, like, you know, because not every cigar you make is going to be a banger. It's statistically not going to work.
Not only that too, but like, God willing, your clientele is going to continue to build. But for the time being, assume that you're going to work with a finite number of customers.
Right.
When you move customers onto one product, you're kind of hurting a different one.
Right.
Right. Like if there's a fixed number of cigars that are going to be purchased, you're going to kind of go back and forth, and there's going to be some fluctuation in all regards. But like, you can't necessarily mathematically predict where that's going to be.
Yeah.
So no matter what, you're when something picks up, something's going to slow down too. And trying to stay ahead of that curve of what's going to stay picked up and what's going to stay slowed down is the magic of
That is the
trying
game.
to
That-
predict your, yeah.
And that's the advantage of being a hand sale shop and moving the product myself and taking you in there is, every 2 weeks I pick a brand or a cigar, and that's what I'm going to lean towards for that 2 weeks. Doesn't matter who it is. If that company has something that fits your profile, I'm going to lean you that way.
Hey, Seneca, is the Fuma Noche what you already have?
Yeah.
He says,
Yeah.
I already have one, son. And
Yeah.
I'm thinking, like, you're older than me? Like, all right. So I want to go back to the La Aroma to close that one off.
Yeah.
I have a particular situation where I think this is a fantastic buy if you're looking for a cigar for this situation. I'm curious what your thoughts are first before I say mine. I don't think you're going to necessarily jump out with the same thing I'm thinking, but let me hear what your final thoughts and what occasion you think it's a good stick for.
I mean, number one is if you're having a party at the house.
Okay.
Like you're gonna hook people up with a bunch of cigars because the price points on these, if I remember right, are very approachable. They're not. It's not a budget stick by any means, but it's approachable. Because the presentation, it's going to look good. It's going to make you look good.
Uh-huh.
It's going to help you. If you're trying to show your friends, like, hey, like check out these cigars, they're going to tend to grab them because of the beautiful band on it. That would be like if I had to pick one time frame that would be good for, I'd say that, because it is so you can hand the cigar to almost anybody.
We're real close.
Yeah.
We have the same logic behind it, but I'm going to say wedding.
Yeah.
Because you're going to have a lot of people that are not traditionally cigar smoking people that are going to go, okay, this is the one I'm going to have this year because of the situation. You get the beautiful presentation. You get the legacy recognition of going like, I think I've seen this before. I think I know what it is. Even if you've never heard of it, you think you do because La Aroma de Cuba just has that ring to it.
Yeah.
Right. And it gives you that association with Cubans for the people that are uneducated that think, hey, that could be a Cuban cigar. And those are the best ones. But it is beautifully presented, easily approachable from a price point, and almost universally smokable.
Yeah.
For a guy that's experienced, that's normally into boutique stuff, he's not going to be like,
yeah.
At least not after he lights it up. It's not going to be like, oh man, like I normally want a Roma and I want this stuff nobody else has heard of. I don't want to have to smoke this big brand. Like it's still a really good cigar. It's just not incredibly in your face or really standing out in any particular flavor, but it's so easily approachable and good. It checks off all of the things. It's a Perdomo for something. And so like if you have anybody out there, because a lot of you guys are in a similar position to what I am, obviously, like I advertise my enthusiasm for cigars everywhere I go, and people know, hey, you're the podcast guy. Give me some cigars. Like I'll often have people at work that I don't see often say like, hey, give me a few recommendations and I'll jot stuff down. But like if you're doing a wedding or celebrating a birth of a kid, something like that, like a situation where you've got a lot of non-traditional cigar smokers that are going to have a cigar because of the occasion, is a really excellent option for you. Kind of really can't go wrong. So I am going to remind everybody one more time, next week, which is going to be May the 19th, we're going to have the pleasure of Dave Puskovich and Louis Lamana in here talking about the Cigar Box Guitar Festival, which takes place on June 15th in the rural regions of Pennsylvania, the Pittsburgh area. Going to be super amazing. There's actually some like national acts that are coming in just for this event. You're going to have some Pittsburgh local bands that play traditionally at like the Leaning House and stuff. So like bands like the Smoke and Blues, Final Time 2, the Strum Junkies will be opening, which is super cool because once our set is done, I'll be able to just kind of chill and be a part of the audience and enjoy the rest of the event. This is going to be a all-day event. Starts at 11 a.m. like 10 different bands playing about an hour long set each, something like that. So, I mean, you're talking about a bunch of people just chilling and partying from 11 to whenever the event closes out. So it's going to be a great time. So make sure you guys hang out with us May 19th when we have Louis in here. Hopefully, I could get him to bring in an example of one of his incredibly crafted cigar box guitars to show you guys what he's done, give a little bit of background on how he started, and just a lot more details on what this event is going to entail. Any of you guys that are not in the Pittsburgh area, if you have a little bit of wiggle room in your summer plans to be able to like maybe do a little trek and come hang out with us and see us in person and see just an event that's tailor built to people that like cigars and music, it's going to be one you don't want to miss for sure.
Yeah. It. I wish I liked live music more, but even like this one even sounds intriguing to me. Like not being a live music guy, it catches my attention because it's going to be so unique. Like the fact they're going to be playing on handmade stuff that like hey, there's the guy that made it kind of thing.
Playing it.
Yeah. Like that
in a lot of circumstances.
That's going to be neat.
Not only that too, but like with this festival vibe, it's not quite the same as like Leaning House where you're in an enclosed space where the music is in your face. Like it's a field. Like you'll have the opportunity to kind of section off and have conversations and enjoy the music as a background mood enhancer if
part
that's
of it,
what
not
you want
all
it to
of it.
be. Right. Yeah. Like you can enjoy it from other perspectives. There's even going to be representatives from like cigar box manufacturer for parts and stuff. Like
cool.
CB Giddy, I think is what it is, that like they do a lot of Louis stuff that he buys to make the guitars out of components
to make it into what it is.
Yeah, so it's going to be pretty interesting from a lot of different perspectives, and I think it'll be enjoyable for anybody that's just. I mean, it's outside, man. Like there's going to be you'd be able to buy Leaning House cigars there, or the Chapel Hill Winery, BYOB. There's a gourmet popcorn and barbecue and all that happy stuff.
Nice.
So it's going to be pretty dope, I think.
Yeah, that'll be really, really awesome.
You got anything coming up for just the tip as far as events go?
So we got this coming Tuesday, which is the 14th. We have our chess tournament, and then we're going to have Liberty Pool on the last Sunday of the month. We're actually going to be at Liberty Pool for this one. So we did finally get that all sorted out. We couldn't decide because of the weather.
Yeah.
We're like, is it worth chancing it in May? Like back and forth. And I told her, I'm like, set up a tent. If I get wet, I get wet. Like I'll move inside. We'll do whatever we got to do to make it work. So I'll be out there the last Sunday in May, and then the last Tuesday of the month, which is right after Liberty Pool this month, will be our karaoke.
Wait,
so
your what?
Karaoke.
Karaoke.
Sorry, my bad. I should know betters.
I think I'm going to move my practice that week to Thursday.
Make it?
So that I could come to one, because I've been looking forward to swinging in here and causing a ruckus.
You didn't go last night, did you? To the PCC one? I didn't know if you made it down.
We had so yesterday was an interesting situation. So a couple weekends ago, we were supposed to do my grandparents' 65th wedding anniversary celebration at their home. And my grandfather ended up getting pneumonia and going to the hospital and like having to go through all that stuff. And he's in his 90s. So we had to push it back, and they ended up pushing it back to yesterday, which is wild because it's the day before Mother's Day. And also since then, my grandmother's birthday had passed.
Yeah.
So I did the power play. I bought a anniversary card, a birthday card, and a Mother's Day card, put them all in the same envelope. And on the front, it said, "Happy Mother's Birthiversary."
Birthiversary.
Yeah.
Nice.
So it was pretty good time.
You were talking about like a wedding cigar. So I just did a wedding package for somebody. They basically just wanted to cover as many bases as they could. So I did the Perdomo.
So yeah, if you're not going to stick with just multiple boxes or one box of one cigar, and you're kind of looking for variety,
right? And then they wanted, because of their price point, that they wanted to be at all that. I did a box of Tatianas, but I did like 4 of this one, 4 of this one, 4 of this one, and laid it out so they have like a presentation for it. I did a box of Tatiscan Connecticut's, because that's probably the easiest smoking cigar out there. Like you can hand it to anybody. And then I did the Perdomo Lot 23, the Maduro. So they have a Connecticut and Maduro, and then they have flavored. And the problem is, if they have any cigar nerds there, they'll be like, eh. But beyond that, everybody else is going to be happy. they'll all be good. What are your thoughts on that
It's a good haircut.
selection?
I mean, it sounds pretty good and pretty approachable to me. You actually just gave me a really interesting idea that might be something that you could play with, but I don't know. So, like, not a lot of manufacturers are going to do this because they're trying to push their own cigars and nobody else's, right? But if you were able to do a little bit of research and say, go, like, who makes the most cigar boxes for other people, like for different manufacturers, just a box manufacturer, and go, like, okay, let's approach a box maker about a box that has segments in it to be able to put three or four different cigars in it with built-in dividers, and just like, let's not have a brand specific one, but like maybe just a event specific one, like a wedding box.
Yep.
Like, that was really cool and pretty, and like maybe something that you could easily add names to or whatever, or just like something that's themed for that. And then you could come into the shop and buy that box and then fill it with one type of cigar or four different types of cigars or whatever you want. That might be a really interesting idea. It's probably not enough of your sales to justify the work involved, but like for somebody that ended up expanding to 2 or 3 stores, somebody like Mark from Superior or Dave from Two Guys, like, that might be a really interesting idea to have something that, like, the box isn't the brand specific, but it's event specific. That could be neat.
Yeah, the only issue I have with that for a wedding, it definitely useful for other ones, but with a wedding, you have so many people that, okay, I got 4 of this really good cigar, and the first 4 people that walk up are going to be like, oh, thank you. And then after that, it's gone. So, like, that's from what I've learned thus far on people doing weddings and what they've been happy with. Either they do a bunch of samplers, like a bunch of 5-pack samplers, and they just set them out on the tables, or you have to do multiple boxes of cigars, because you don't want 2 guys to get this cigar and then be the only ones with that, and everybody else be like, man, that's like the Java Mint. The Java Mint, when somebody else lights it, everybody gets to enjoy it.
But you could compartmentalize and fill it however you want. I understand. I think
That's
what
what I'm saying.
saying.
Wedding, it would be difficult, but and like a couple other events come to mind that
I
would be
guess
good.
what I'm thinking is something that would be like, so the groom or whoever the male influence is that's getting the cigars is like, okay, we want good cigars, but like something that also like might vibe with the bride, of instead of just having a traditional cigar box out, of like something that's, you know, has a decor that supports that theme. And it could be any orientation or iteration you want. It doesn't have to be like, okay, 4 different broken sections to 4 different
That's
types
true,
of
yeah.
cigars. You could put them in however you want. I'm just thinking of like a generic box that's for weddings that then you could just take, even if they wanted a whole box of one type of cigar,
Yeah.
you go like, or multiple boxes of the same cigar. You could go, okay, I'm going to fill the box with this, but maybe it would come with dividers so that you could break it up if you wanted different ones, but it would also fit the motif of like this celebration, a birthday or a wedding or a birth announcement.
4th of July box or something like that. Yeah.
I think it's an interesting idea.
Yeah, it's definitely something to work through. But nah, man, that's cool. What do you think about that time, eh?
I think it's about that time. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. Friendly reminder, jump onto cigarjunkies.com where you can hang out with us, check out all the recent stuff that we're doing, Facebook group as well. Come hang out with us every Sunday morning at 9:30 a.m. where we do the show live, and I can't tell if it didn't work. Hang out with us every Sunday at 9:30 a.m. where you can jump into the chat room and interact with us while we do the show.
Yeah.
And do all the fun things, man. Be junkies.
Oh, yeah. Salud. I'm coming.